Welcome to Awakening Warriors Podcast, where we talk about
Life,
learning,
love,
lessons, and love.
What the fuck?
What is it?
Life, love, lessons, and learning.
Life, love, lessons, and learning.
That's flow is much better. Yes, life, love, lessons, and learning.
You know
Jesus
what I
Christ.
say?
I don't know. What
Life,
the fuck?
love.
Say it wrong. That's all I know.
I probably said it that way. Life, love, lessons, and learning. Whatever.
Jesus Christ. Anyways, unfortunately I didn't, whatever. So I'm assuming it probably still records when this is down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do
you want to send it to me?
I sure can send it to you.
Because I'm just not messing with it, because that would suck if it was cutting in and out or whatever, or just not working.
I'll send it to you right fucking now.
So, while he's doing this, the
Done.
topic of today's discussion, I tossed out, and
I caught it.
yeah, was to talk about lessons or like things that we've learned in our 20s, because Montana just turned 30 in June, and I will turn 30 in 2 days. So
I did it much more gracefully, I will tell you.
I'm doing fine. I just want to do something.
And there was a moment where we're spending with my mom, and she like even said like, "Oh, when you turn 30, things change."
Right, his mom said that.
And at the moment when you're not in the battle, right, in the midst of shit, she's all like, "No, it's just what'd you say? It's just a societal bullshit."
Well,
blah,
I know
blah.
it is, and I know.
Oh,
that's
I know
what it
that.
is.
That's why I did it so gracefully and.
Well, I know that. I just don't embody. It's not that I don't embody it. I just
not
think,
to do.
please let me explain my experience. My situation is like those things have been drilled in my head for so long, and just within the past couple of years, probably have I been able to be like, wow, that's not even like my belief. Like that's something that society has like put onto me, and it doesn't mean that just like disappears. So for me, I don't know. I just feel 30 feels milestone-y. It's like one of those, it's like when you're 40, when you're 50, like everybody, and maybe just because as a woman, maybe I experience that like pressure differently, but like everybody's got this stuff to say about like, when you turn 30, your body starts falling apart. When you turn 40, blah, blah, blah. And so this is just one of those ushering in a new decade.
Two things. One, it probably doesn't help that I told you that I would never be with a woman over 30 anyways. But that's besides the point. Two, I don't listen to fucking losers that, like, are living their lives the way they live, and then, like...
Well, I did for so long, for the, like, more years of my life that I've been alive, listening to things like that and taking things in than have I not.
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying. That's why I could give a fuck less about... And it seems like, in my mind, I would have a harder time turning 30 in the sense of, like, I feel like I should be so much further.
And you do struggle with that.
Yeah, but nothing of that has to do with my specific age of 30 or anything. Like, I could give a fuck less out of 30.
Well, you feel that regardless of what age
you're
at.
Exactly. Like, that didn't change. If anything, yeah, because I hold that belief that I should be further or I should be better off and so on and so forth. So, I feel like that would have hit me harder, but it just didn't. But I think what helps also is like, Jordan and TZ, and I'm talking to these guys and they're like, oh, you're further along than, I was when I was your age. And I think that really helps settle me down, like putting that in comparison, because I like comparison. Comparison works for me, usually. Obviously, it's a double-edged sword, so you have to be careful with it, but yeah, like hearing those guys and seeing where they're at and knowing that I'm like beyond, way further than they ever were at their age, like really satisfies me. Like, okay, I'm on track. I'm doing okay. You know what I mean? So it's like, chill. But anyways, yeah, 30. I'm probably not in the best shape that I've ever been. Depending, because I used to be really fucking jacked. But it all really depends, because I used to be like heavy and super, super strong. I'm probably up there. I've never really declined ever, so.
I feel like you just tangented. I think, and for me, I think, because I don't necessarily feel the, like, I'm not far enough in life. The only thing that, like, and again, is this my belief? Is this my thing? Or is it, like, something else externally that I've internalized? But, like, the thing that gets in my head is, like, biological clocks. Like, we don't have kids yet, and we don't have plans for that. Or,
You
like,
can buy them, though.
and we were just talking about, like, Saxony's at Burning Man doing all these things, and you're like, yeah, but, like, she wasn't doing these things at 30. Like, we can do this at 40, but, like, we also don't have kids, so we may have, like, a young child at that point. And in my mind, I'm like, her kids are already, like, grown enough to be, like, left alone for her to go do these things. And so for my mind, it's just like, oh my gosh, like, we're approaching, I don't know, biological clockwise.
You know, just dump them off, though, somewhere and fucking go do those things anyways.
Dump them off.
Yeah, here.
Okay, anyway.
I mean, at 10, because, like, if you were to have a kid and you were going to do a, you know, let's say you have a kid in the next year or so, and then you're 41, you know, the kid's 10 at that point, when you're 40, then, like, fuck.
A year or so. Even that means, like, being pregnant in the next 2 months. That's insane to me.
Yeah. So settle the fuck down.
Yeah, I don't want. Anyway, it's just whatever. Age is just a number. You're as young as you feel. All the things, but also, like, for me, again, I just think there's, like, a milestone to 30. We're, like, entering in a new decade. So all of that was just to say that the topic of today's podcast episode is things that we've learned, lessons that we've learned.
And I want to do show and tell.
In our 20s.
This is all my accumulated knowledge over the past approximately 5 years.
Yeah, only 5.
Yeah, well, yeah,
17.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 5 years. Nope, it's 5 because it's like, or I'm missing one.
You have a 17, 18.
Yeah, but that's like the end of 17. So it's like, yeah, I have 5 of these right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 years. And then my current is upstairs for my current schedule. But yeah, this is all, like, because I track, this is, like, I can literally tell you every single thing that I've done in the past 5 years, almost pretty much any day. Like, you tell me the day, I can fucking pick it out and I can tell you what I did. And yeah, so that's how fucking on top of shit I am. And then I used to, which I should start again, carry around notebooks. And when I listen to, like, podcasts, or I listen to audiobooks, or I just had the conferences, yeah, business seminars, or anything, like, literally anything.
Or ideas even just, like, popped in your head when you were somewhere.
Yeah, just to get them out of my mind, like business ideas, or, like, you know, like how the government operates ideas, or, like, conspiracy theory ideas, or, you know, fucking
really anything.
Anything, yeah, literally anything and everything that I think that could, just to get it out of my mind. Notes from mentors. But yeah, that's all.
Write that all down.
Yeah.
For a long time.
But yeah, lots and lots of information. I always find it interesting, and I know I've said this before, that people will, like, bank on their age as if they know something. But typically, just because you're older doesn't mean you know more than I do, or whoever. It just means you've had more life. It doesn't mean you actually take in from life and turn that into wisdom and knowledge, and, you know.
Right. Like, age doesn't automatically equal wisdom or
Yeah,
intelligence.
an experience is just a seed. Then, you know, you have to process and let that seed grow in order to take from it, and, you know, for your harvest and be bountiful. So, and that's my proof that I've done the work and I continue to do the work. So, but anyways, that's not what this is about. That just happened to be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah, anyways.
Okay. Lessons. Things that we've learned in our 20s.
So, you want me? You want to do yours? Let's see. That's mine. So.
Things. Well, I'm not just gonna have them both up, so we can.
Yeah, we can just go back and forth.
Yeah. So I can tell you what your first one is.
No, fuck you. You don't tell me what mine
Sit
is.
back. You had me typing them all out anyway to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay. First one that popped in my head, and this isn't.
You do 2, and then I'll do 2.
Okay,
We'll go back and forth.
This is in no particular order for me, but first one that popped in my head was how to set boundaries. So, other thing I wanted to point out really quick, which I think is kind of cool, is we've been together for
too long.
Like, all of our 20s for the most part. All of my 20s. You may have already been 20. I can't remember.
Pretty sure I was 19.
Yeah, okay. Because I know we celebrated my 20th birthday, which would have been... Okay, yeah. So all of our 20s we've been together. But beginning... I mean, even until probably the last 5 years, like maybe 3, 4, 5 years, I was not setting boundaries with anybody. Or even myself. I think now I definitely have gotten better about like sticking to certain boundaries with myself, but even now I set boundaries like with my parents, I set boundaries with friends. It's definitely still something that I'm growing in and I'm not perfect at, but that has definitely been something that I've stepped into. I try to set boundaries with you.
No one sets boundaries with me.
The physical ones are difficult.
No one sets boundaries with me.
And what I mean by that is sometimes
I'll set those boundaries and I'll respect them that I set.
Like sometimes he'll just like get in my space and like touch me and like stick his face all on my face and I'm like, what the heck? Those ones are hard, but anyway. I don't know, how much are we talking about these each?
As much as you want for whatever.
Why don't we just do one? Because 2 feels like a lot. And
so. Well, my first one was mentorship.
Yeah.
In my 20s, and I caught on this probably like it was probably my 20s still. Yeah, it was my 20s. I was going to say before, but it was definitely in my 20s. Mentorship and Amway. Like, find people that have what you want and start learning from them. You know, like, if someone has a successful business in what you want to do business in, you know, you kind of, you know, just have them mentor you and teach you. And when this goes with anything, relationships, but... Yeah, that was one of the biggest things. Like, have a coach, because like a coach will literally shortcut you to where you want to go. Like they take fucking years off. I think David was a very expensive. I bet we paid David fucking $10,000 about. You think? We had him for over a year. He was a little over $10,000 a year for between both of us. It was like $750 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, I'd say easily $10,000 we probably paid him. But it was probably some of the best money that we had ever spent. I'd do it over again just like that because of, you know, like, I tell people about the things that he taught us, but I don't know if they just don't understand or if they don't, like, recognize, like, the value in it because I'm just giving it to them for free. But I'm like, holy shit, like, this is, like, game changing. Like, it can radically change my outlook on life, and it radically changed our relationship 100%. Like, through and through is the best money that I've ever spent. And it was literally through Build Your Life Resume with Jesse Itzler, because I bought that program or whatever, and I was in there, and then yeah, I just basically stumbled upon David, and he gave me a free 15-minute call, and then I was like, fuck yeah, I'll try it. It was a month-to-month thing, and then I started doing it, and you know, I just started getting. He just kept teaching me about like just crazy, different dumb shit that we just scratched the scratch of the surface, like Dianetics and like all that shit. You know, there's just so much, but just the books he turned me on to, the concepts and tools that he taught us. You know. Like,
yeah, because we both worked with him individually.
Yeah, it made us much more functional as human beings independently, and then much more functional, you know, together. So, mentorship. I mean, I've had a mentor since basically Amway all the way through now, technically in one way or another. You know, so.
Mhm. I feel like I want to jump around. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is, I think that I've become, and this might be more recently, but still is in my 20s, much more open-minded, which is interesting because I've like always thought I was open-minded, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized that I was open-minded to things that were like comfortable or familiar or like made sense to me at that time. And the thing that made me think about that, because we were in the truck and I said, you know what, I would like, honestly, really, I would be open to it. And it was like a joking conversation, but like, I just recognized where I've shifted so much more to like stand on possibilities and actually be like open to things where before I could feel myself close off to them, and I thought I was so open-minded because in these areas it was so easy to be open-minded because I was familiar and comfortable and that was cool. But in these areas, that was like no go, nope, not even considering it. And now like my consideration of things, I'm much more open to that.
I did buy you Chinese food though, so Does that mean that thing's still on the table? I didn't even think about it until you brought it up.
I told you I would really consider it.
Okay, good, great.
So I will really consider it.
A lot of things have to align, but.
But in that, I also like wrote some notes about like that means being open to like things, people, situations, new experiences. Like there are still some things that feel scary to me, but I'm like, I'll consider. I'll be open.
Yeah, I feel like I'm more open than you are at this point. I'm really proud of myself, actually. Yeah, definitely.
Again, I think for you, that's like certain pockets where you're like,
Mm-mm.
everything and anything, I'm so open to it. And then there's like other things that you're like, oh, this is my beliefs about it. Nope, nothing's changing it. This is what it is.
Name one.
Like, you will lump certain groups of people together and then say things about them. And I'm like, are you kidding me? They're all like that?
I'm generalizing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even, there's always the freaking outliers. Malcolm Gladwell. There's always outliers, 100%.
Oh, that's a book.
Yeah, there's always outliers.
So yeah, that's one of them. I've definitely expanded my horizons.
God damn it, your fucking shit's always backwards. Alright.
Maybe mine's just fine and yours is backwards.
No, yours is fucking retarded. This is gonna be probably mentorship or coaching. Listen to people have what you want. So I've learned to rest and relax more than what I used to. I used to be like, I'm still pretty uptight and strung out, but I'm less than what I used to be. So I've taken leaps and bounds as far as that goes in my 20s, which is good because, like, for instance, my dad was so uptight and bound. He had like an ulcer in his 20s because he was so like stressed out and whatever. And I can't even imagine that because my dad's so like fucking chill and, you know, like
externally
even keeled. So yeah, externally he keeps his poise pretty well, but
yeah, that is definitely something you've.
I still don't believe in like, I don't know, relaxing and resting 100% as far as like a full day or anything, but
Well, like generally
moments.
speaking, Sundays are like slower for us, and
Yeah.
you've like adopted that, and you
yeah.
can be okay with that, like the slower pace of our Sundays, and like they're not 0 days. Like sometimes we won't. Like today we did work out, but it probably was like 20, 25 minutes, and like we
But
did.
it was a list. It was what needed to get done. That's the only thing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I hired a coach, and that was on the thing.
Training.
So whether it was fucking, you know, an hour or fucking 20 minutes, it was still gonna get done.
Well, for me, I wasn't fully committed to that, but I did it anyway today. Or even like B&B, like we brought materials there, so like it's still we're doing something, but it's still a lot slower.
Yeah, that shit's time consuming too. So.
And
Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead. Next.
don't be rushing. I'm contributing to yours. Mine, I just like talking, and you're like, "Okay, my turn." Okay. Oh, this one's kind of like random and not super deep, but I learned in my 20s that working out is good and helpful. Don't frown at me like that. You know that I used to fight you about going to the gym, and I didn't want to go to the gym, and I blah blah blah, and now it's like very much just become what I do, and I have much more appreciation for it. I guess my mindset around it's just shifted. I guess obviously in theory you know that working out is good, but if everyone knows that working out is good, they all would be doing it. So it just has like become more of like a lifestyle, and I just have more appreciation. I can like see when things change when I'm working out, like literally physically, but then I also like can appreciate my functional strength and things like that I never really cared or thought about before, and now it's.
Remember my grant when you help me move shit, and she'd be like, "Oh, you can wait till Eli gets around," and then I was like, "No," I'm like, "She can help me," and she's
But
like,
even now, it's always you and I. Like,
"Well, yeah, I know. It was always
and
you
people
and
are
I."
like, "Are you sure? Do you
Yeah.
want help?" Like, nope. We do this all the time.
Yeah,
We got it.
you're welcome.
So, yeah, I guess I've just like really shifted.
Did you want to give me a public thank you or no?
No.
Oh.
I've really shifted my mindset around that and my appreciation of it, and that is definitely something that I've grown into in my 20s. Because like, before I was not about it.
So I learned to invest, and and I'm not talking about like financially necessarily.
Although that is a part of it.
Yes, that is a part of it. But specifically investing in myself. You are your biggest asset, 100%. Like I could lose all my money and all my shit tomorrow, all my physical, materialistic things, but I always have my mind. So like you learn, yeah, if you just invest in yourself, and that's one of the greatest things you could ever do for you and your mental state and the people around you, because that shit rubs off. And I try to, yeah, shit rubs off.
And I'm the one who brought that up for him, because I was like, at the beginning, when we first brought up this topic, I was like, I feel like I know things you've learned more than things I have, but I literally meant like physical investing, because early on you weren't investing in anything. And even now, I mean, it's still a learning process. There are things
That's
that...
true. I was investing in my 401k.
Oh,
Bitch.
that's true. No.
Yeah.
When you were working at Admiral?
I couldn't invest in my
Exactly. So you weren't. That wasn't until like years into the picture.
Jesus fuck.
I said when we got together, didn't I? When we got together, you weren't investing in anything. So even that, yeah. And now, I mean, it's still a learning curve, but like we've had a rental house, and you were doing like different. I don't know much about it. That's not on my list. So.
I just like to say I'm like pretty.
You're like rude today, which goes to my next point, which is I've grown to have thicker skin.
Thought we were doing 2 in a row.
I didn't. You just did investing.
Oh, got you.
The frick, man.
You just talk so much. I thought it was yours.
I literally was talking about your investing. Now bringing me to my. This one is like we have. The idea was solid. The execution not so great. What am I saying?
Thick skin, bitch.
Oh yeah. Okay, so thick skin. I still tend to be a little. I mean, compared to you, I'm definitely more sensitive, but I'm
untouchable.
I have toughened up my skin a lot compared to earlier in my 20s. Because you tend to be like tough love, tell you as it is, no sugarcoating. You also like to talk crap and like be feisty was a word that came to mind, but like to kind of push buttons, and so you'll just say things that are like kind of mean, and I would take every single thing personally.
I basically treated her like one of like my friends, and essentially, you know, if we talk shit, we talk shit. That's how especially in high school, like so it's. You know, as a young man or a young boy, whatever, like that's what we do. We fucking harp on each other and give each other shit. So nothing really changed when, you know, you and I got in a relationship, because I would do the same thing then. I'm not gonna fucking change it. I think a lot of marriages suffer in that, because the man's one way here, and then he's one way here, you know. And I think some people would disagree with me. Like, you have to, you know, have a different relationship with your wife.
Treat this as like sacred and fragile.
Yeah, which is like total bullshit to me. Like to a certain extent, I understand where they're coming from, but I think you know it's just not. It's not authentic.
Right, because I used to very early on, like want him to be this way with me and super romantic and use all these kind words and blah blah blah, and like that's just I've come to accept that's just not what it is.
Some people it works, like Ben, for instance. Ben, it works.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not in that relationship, but that seems to be where that relationship particularly is at.
Right.
You know.
And the way that he communicates with her, and I mean, you guys see it. Like, obviously, he gives me a lot of.
I treat people like they're equals, essentially. Like, in my personal opinion, that's not treating someone like they're an equal. Like, that's either treating someone like they're either lesser or above, because you're like. I don't know, it's just not the same.
I think that's your perspective, though, because I think, like, the way Ben specifically comes at it is because he has, like, respect and reverence for her. So, like, he wants to, like, be that way with her. I don't think that... With you it would, though, just because that's how you operate. I don't know that Ben has that same operation system. So, but yeah, thicker skin, not taking things as personally. It's been very... I still have my days, but, like,
remember
it's definitely...
when you used to be like, I can't believe you're trying to change me. Remember that? And you used to not be able to take any, like, even, like, constructive criticism, and specifically, not even, like, just joking around, like, constructive criticism. I remember, like, sitting on some stairs at one point, and, like, you saying, like, almost those exact words, and I can't remember where we're at. We're sitting on some stairs, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm like, this is so ridiculous. And, fuck, yeah.
Freaking mouth breather.
I'm fat today. Let's see. Anyways. Yeah, I used to not be able to take shit for constructive criticism.
Or even just like stupid like little names and stuff. Like I get so wrapped up into that.
I learned to go with the flow a lot more. Like I feel like I'm more of a spontaneous, go with the flow individual than you are now.
This goes in my good next point.
It's so funny because I keep saying these things. Like I feel like I'm more open than you. I feel like because you used to always consider yourself more open and like yourself more go with the flow. But now, like, it's literally switched. Like, now I'm just like, who gives a fuck where we're staying? I don't know. We'll figure it out. Who gives a shit? Well, I don't know. We'll figure it out. And now I'm just, I'm just like Mr. Flow. That's what they call me.
One of your words for one of the years was flow, and that was like such a great like word for you, and you were super intentional, I think, with that, because that was the year that like it totally shifted for you for sure.
Yeah.
Like that was a good
flow. And then what I have last year, perspective, and this year's vulnerability. Flow, perspective, vulnerability.
I haven't been doing super well with mine. I saw it surrender in one of your things, and I was like, oh, thank you for the reminder,
Acceptance and surrender.
Mhm.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Okay. Yeah. Go with the flow. Which goes into mine, which is this just like a aspect that I learned about myself, is that I have like a controller part. And it's interesting because like I kind of, with that go with the flow, I always consider myself like very flexible, very go with the flow. And I tend to be in, again, I think the areas where I'm comfortable doing that. But I like come to realize like, wow, I actually have like a control freak part of me about stupid things, little things. And I can have compassion for that part of me because I look back. Well, that part showed up for me for a reason. It served a purpose at one point in time. It no longer does, though. Like, little things, and I'm practicing this now, like, little ways, because I had mentioned to you, one of my clients was using my Sharpie markers, and he was, like, putting them in cap down. And they had all been cap up initially. He's using them all, putting them all cap down, and I literally, like, a couple of them just, like, flipped over, and then like doing things, and I flipped it over, and I was like, why am I doing that? Like, it doesn't even matter. Who cares what direction the markers are?
Because you're a fucking psycho.
So, but then I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop. Like, I noticed it, I'm gonna make a different choice, I'm gonna let it be because it doesn't matter. Or, like, little things with, like, cooking, or I tend to get, So I have just learned about that part of me, because I never really was aware of it for a long time.
Oh, are you done?
Yeah?
This one's on my list, but I learned I have anxiety.
No,
I experience sensations of anxiety. I experience sensations I do not have.
Mm-hmm. So...
Go ahead, tell them more!
Go ahead.
I'll
fill in the blanks. No, you can start.
So anyways, it was, I don't know, this was probably like 4 years ago now, maybe. Because Joe Casano talked about it because he said he had PTSD and all this other shit. He was in the military and stuff, and he said he was explaining, and he starts explaining like anxiety and stuff like that, and I'm like, holy shit, I got that. Because he was explaining the tightness in his chest and like, the uncomfortableness and, all this shit.
And well, it didn't have to do with like your inability to rest and like I always need to do and like all my schedule, and like he was like, dude, you know that's like that can be a part of that. Yeah,
because we were in our kitchen. I remember that because that was like a fucking slap me in the face moment. I was like, holy shit! Just like that moment, I was like, I have that. And because I didn't even know I had anxiety. Like, I was fucking 20-some years old, and, like, this is just how I felt the whole time throughout my life. No one had ever told me what anxiety was, or whatever. I'd hear people in passing talk about it and stuff like that, but it really wasn't my space a whole lot. And then like my whole fucking childhood I had anxiety because my fucking psycho fucking trauma childhood. So I just never knew, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh shit, I have that. And then it was very like aha moment. So but anyways, I'm working through it, and I feel like it's been raised a lot this past probably few weeks, only because of the stress that I'm putting on myself. But I was doing really good there for a while.
Which tends to happen with him. Like when it's building season and then we're like into a new endeavor, your stress heightens and then your anxiety comes with
Well, yeah, because like things aren't done. So like, I just got to be okay with being on the journey and being in the moment in the journey, rather, because like once I get to the end, I'm like, oh, it's done. Like at the end of the Rowdy Ram, and like I was able to like wash my hands of it. Basically, I was like, oh, it's so nice. But in the time, I'm like, go as hard as you can, go as fast as you can, get it fucking done right now. Let's go, 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 go. Like for fucking 3 months or whatever, however many months, and then like that whole time, I'm like getting up, thinking about it. I'm like, I gotta get it done, gotta get it done. But yeah, it is what it is. I just enjoy it sometimes.
We talked about this one before, but I definitely learned how to communicate more openly, humbly, openly, transparently. And with that comes, which just popped in my head too, like learning about withholding and how that's technically lying, and so just like the ways to communicate, because I think our relationship has grown a ton and evolved a ton, and
Who taught us about withholding?
Sean.
Damn.
Waylon.
Yep.
And we know the humble, open, and transparent from Michael Todd. But I think
Transformation Church.
Yes. So just like the very nature of our relationship evolving, but we always talk about this, communication is key, and so I've definitely learned how to communicate that way more with you specifically, but it like definitely bleeds into just conversations, period. I think with you it's easier, but I definitely try to what's that word? Whatever. I try to do that in all areas of my life, in all communication spaces. And that's definitely something I've learned in my 20s, because prior to that, or even looking at the beginning of our relationship, like we were not communicating effectively or healthily. So, I've definitely learned.
Next thing I learned is something that David taught me, silent observer. So, like seeing those, recognizing those, that emotional response, and not being necessarily attached to it. Like, this is one of those things that I tell people about, but people will never, I don't think they ever walk away with like the actual.
You might need to break it down.
I've tried.
Dumb it down.
Like I don't know. I tried.
A lot of
it's
times,
just not. To me, it's such a simple concept, and like the next time you gotta do it, like the next time like something comes arises, like that's the time to try it, and it's hard to remember because I fucking forget. When I was actively working with David, I would remember it all the time, but now I struggle with remembering when to do it in the moment. But I still, even without remembering the actual physical or the actual, concept,
yeah.
I still do it. I just don't do it as intentionally and as well as, I could be doing it. So, but yeah, I mean.
I talk to clients about that, which should be like a good reminder for me as well. But I use, we don't have to attach to like everything that we think or like feel. We don't have to, I don't know. We can have that thought and just allow the thought to be there. We don't have to get all wrapped up into it.
Yeah, we're gonna, yeah.
Oh, law of attraction. So I learned about that in my 20s. We go way, way, way back. The Secret. It's because of, what's his name? Conor McGregor. Was it like a motivational video speech type thing?
It was a little video clip that basically just talked about the book, or just happened to be talking about the book, and then after that, a lot of stuff. And then we talked to Justin about it, or we were
Oh,
talking to Justin about it, and he's like, you should look up gin. And then we found, I already knew about Kevin Trudeau at that point, because of my parents. So, because my dad would read those cures you don't want to know about,
Natural
all this
cures.
stuff. Yep. But then Kevin Trudeau, I really got turned on to him after Justin talked to me about gin and stuff. Global Information Network.
So The Secret is a book, and there's a documentary for it. I think it's on Netflix, or it was at one point. And then The Natural Cures I Don't Want You to Know About is a book that Kevin Trudeau wrote, but then you listen to like his 12 CD set. But Law of Attraction, for those who might not know, is basically like attracts like. What you focus on, you get more of. If you have positive mindset and think about things working out and all of that, like that will happen in your space, because just the laws of the universe, like, has to attract like. But same thing for the other end. If you're very negative and you think people are terrible, like you will get more of that, because that's what you're putting out into the world.
Yeah, it's a spiritual concept, and if you break everything down to like a scientific concept, which I'm not a big scientific guy, there's a time and a place, and obviously there's a lot of legitimacy of science, but everything is a vibration, and therefore when you're vibrating at that particular rate, then that's what you will see. So
that's what you magnetize to you, is similar vibrational things.
That's why you have to be careful about what you're around, what you listen to, who you talk to, who you hang out with, and shit like that, because if they're vibrating at a specific rate with their fucking stupidity, then you will also therefore start vibrating at that rate naturally, whether you like it or not, because of the what do I say it? The circumference, the distance, I can't think of the fucking word. How close you are to them, just in.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm.
Yeah.
I don't know. Not the distance, but.
No, but it's like.
Start with a C?
I feel like it does. Hold on. Correspondence?
No. I don't know. Whatever. Fucking doesn't matter.
But yeah, so if you just look at even like emotions, like they vibrate at different hertz. They literally have different, like if you're emanating love and positivity, like I don't even know, it's super high. But if you're in resentment and hatred, you're vibrating super low. And so law of attraction means that you are attracting things that are similar to what you are. Like literally though, and that's why you also have to think about like, it's not just like, oh, I tell myself positive things. Like, do you actually embody that in...
Do you subconsciously believe that? That's where it really counts. Like whether you have that ingrained into your mind and into who you actually are, rather than just like saying the shit.
Because you attract what you are, not what you think.
Yeah. So who do you have to become? Sean was just talking about that recently. And for instance, like I want to make this clear. Like gravity. If I pick up this fucking thing and drop it, guess what? It's gonna fall. Same concept. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. A law is a law is a law. It doesn't fucking matter. So I don't give a shit whether you can't see this law. It still exists. So
it's working whether or not you believe in it.
It
Just
works,
like gravity. You can choose not to believe that gravity is real, but as soon as you step off of a building, you're going to fall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, let's see.
Ooh, Esther Hicks is another. Esther and Abraham Hicks are another good law of attraction. Huh?
Nothing.
I'm giving resources.
I give them a fucking resource. How to respond and not react. That was a good one, because I'd always fucking react like that, because I always liked it. I liked reacting. I'm like, it's like a zinger.
Dopamine hit for you.
Yeah. So, whether typically, I feel like my quickness has really died down, and so has my meanness, because I choose to respond.
You love me more now.
Because I choose to respond rather than react. Because reacting is working out of your subconscious mind basically, and responding is working out of your conscious mind, your prefrontal cortex.
There's no thought to reaction.
Yeah.
It's just like knee jerk.
Yeah, exactly. And it used to like I used to be able to come up with some real good zingers, like fucking mean things to say, and like I used to be a lot. I felt a lot more powerful from that place because like I'm just like it's like a snake bite. You fucking poke it and then it's just bam right there. It's just like fast and aggressive and fucking mean. But yeah, so I've learned to respond rather than react. Um, Most of the time, I'd say probably 90% of the time at this point.
I wrote this one down, and it is true, but I definitely would love to evolve more in this next decade. But caring less about what others think. So what I mean by this, because I definitely still do, but before I would like not post a picture because like I kind of look like this, or I wouldn't like skip through Menards or something because I'd like worry about what people thought about me, or I guess I don't do it so much in the store, but in the parking lot. Or if like somebody looks at me because I'm doing something weird and he's like giving me a hard time, like they're looking at you, like I don't have this like, oh my gosh, who? Like I totally would have years ago. Like I'm like, I don't care. So I've definitely grown in some of those, I don't want to call it shallower, but like ease, I don't even know if it's easy necessarily. It's just these areas that like I feel I have grown in small ways, but I'm so much looking forward to growing in that more because, or even like posting this, like posting podcast episodes, like that probably has helped a ton because whatever, putting it out there. But I used to care a lot, and now I only care a little.
I learned to be more intentional rather than just kind of fluent or whatever.
Flippant?
Flippant.
Philippians 3:16.
Flippant.
Flippant.
Flippant 3:17.
Flippant.
With my time and stuff, so much more intentional. I learned that my habits are extremely important, so like I'm very intentional. Like when I go to the gym, I try not to just half-ass things. Some days are not as good as others, but like intentionally, like I'm at the gym, I'm like, all right, like do this, like, or I'm going to work, like let's be focused and like focus on that, or so I'm just I practice it, but it doesn't mean I always am. It's something that I'm intentionally trying to intentionally get better at.
I just had a couple others. One thing I learned that I am, it's not that I'm not, but my vulnerability level, I used to, and then maybe that goes with open-minded and stuff too, but I used to think that like I was so vulnerable and that's so easy for me. And then you started working on vulnerability.
This year.
Okay. And I quickly realized that like maybe I'm not as vulnerable as I thought.
You're not.
But I think it also comes, there's different areas of life. Like this takes a level of vulnerability, but then when it comes to you and you'll be like, I don't know, I can't think of an example.
We just looked at, I don't know, that was 2018. In 2018, I have written that I cannot compliment in a normal voice. I can't just say, oh, you look really pretty today. I say, oh, you look so pretty today, or some shit like that. Like,
or it's like, who are you looking so hot for? Like, okay.
Yeah, so I can't, I don't know, it's interesting. There was a moment, which maybe I should put this back into practice. I was like, intentionally complimenting someone every single day, but then it just got really hard.
Like me, every single day. I remember at one point he had a sticky note that said, compliment Andrea more. But yeah, I think vulnerability, and again, maybe with you, I feel a level of like you're better than me, so then I feel weird being
We're all equals.
Vulnerable and open, but I'm clear, I'm not as vulnerable as I thought I was.
We're all equals in God's eyes.
It's interesting because I feel like I had these like identities that like I attached to, and then I'm like, yeah, that's not even actually it.
So yeah, I don't know. I still can't compliment people in normal voices. I just prefer not to compliment people. It's just not something I like to do. So, but it's a word that I'm working on.
Thanks for dinner. I don't even know what you do. Something weird.
So I only say it because you want me to say it. I'm just doing it to appease you.
Gosh, my arms and legs are all beat up. Working.
This is something that you say I don't do that great, but minimize distractions. I don't know. I think I do pretty good. Like there's times that, I guess our drinking and stuff is kind of like a distraction that's, that's a distraction. But but on like the day-to-day basis and stuff, like I'm pretty like focused, cut and dry. Like, fucking get up between get up between 4 and 5, fucking work out, go through my habits, be to work between like 7:30, fucking work there from like 7 to 3, and then after 7 to 3 I go to fucking Bullseyes and Birdies from like 3 to 6 or so, and then, come home, eat dinner, watch maybe an hour of TV, shower, and do all that shit and go to bed. Like I'm pretty, like, TV is a small distraction at this point. It has been recently, I guess. And then like the drinking and on the weekends, and even that's been in and out. So, but overall, like that's just like, limit the distractions, focus on like what I actually want.
I didn't even know I was doing this until you looked at my hands. One thing that I thought of that I feel like, I don't know, whatever, I'm just gonna say it, is I learned how to better work with you when we're literally working. Like shifting, because back in the day, we would work together, and I would still be very much in like wife mode, play mode, like love me mode, talk to me mode, and you're like, bro, we're working. And that was like a point of conflict for a while. And I think I've done a much better job at like being able to like, we're at work, this is what we're doing right now, we can like cuddle on the couch later and I can get like love from him, but like this is...
What's that called?
What?
What's that called that you're describing? I'm teaching her something right now. Everybody pay attention.
I don't know.
Compartmentalizing.
Oh. I guess, yeah, I learned how to compartmentalize better when working with you so that we're on the same page, and I'm just very much more in that like focused work mode as well, which helps us get more done. We're more productive. We don't fight as much because we're just like doing what we need to do. And we've been working together for, since you've been an entrepreneur, I've always done a lot of stuff with you, and so it's nice to be able to get in the groove and figure that out.
My next is "This too shall pass," and I had heard that. I think I probably heard that in high school. Maybe, I don't really know. I know I heard it like in my 20s, but when I always thought about that, I always thought about like the the negative side of things, like this too shall pass, like, it'll just...
Like if you're in a storm.
Yeah, you're in a storm, it'll pass. But even in the good times, this too shall pass. Like, no matter where you're at, this too shall pass. I should get that tatted.
Like it will come to an end.
On my thick-ass thighs.
Because that's just me thinking about the storm example. It'll be like, the storm will end, and then there will be a beautiful rainbow, but eventually that rainbow will be gone.
Yeah.
Like, even the beauty behind it will eventually pass.
David taught me that. Because I knew that before David, and then David, again, just like...
You knew half of it before David.
Well, yeah, I knew that sentence before David.
Well,
yeah. And I thought I knew it.
That's what I said, you knew half of it. You knew the negative
I didn't know what I didn't
pass.
know. I didn't even know what I didn't know. I didn't know what I didn't know.
You
don't know what you don't know.
You didn't know that you didn't know.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing. Like, now I feel like that, like, just not knowing has opened me up to want to know so much more, you know? Like, people don't even know what they don't know. Like, it just fucking baffles me. And then they're so closed-minded and they fucking think they know everything. Like, I know a lot, and I'm pretty cocky in my knowledge. Like, but at the end of the day, like, I don't know shit.
Okay, this is me, my last one.
Shut the fuck up. Got 10 minutes.
Because I need 10 minutes to talk about my last one. Is And this is one that I think I need to continue to remind myself of, but that I can do hard things. For example,
Yeah, you can.
our ultras. That is like what kickstarted that off, was like, holy crap, I'm way more capable than I think I am. And I think that even though we haven't done one this year, I do think that like I still see little snippets of some of that in my life. Like when it's like we're doing reps, and it's so I could so easily like quit on myself at 8 out of 10, but like, what the F? Like, no, I'm gonna get all my thingies in. Or like today was a little wonky, but I committed to myself, like the last 10 seconds or 15 seconds, I'm going to go down like on my arms, which is harder, and I'm going to not let go. Or like we were doing those side planks, and it was so hard that one time, but I was like, I can do this. And that's small little whatevers, but like when you have bigger cookie jar items in your past to be able to like, I can do hard things, then when the little like everyday hard things come on, you're like, you know you can do it.
You want to know what I do in those moments?
No.
Disassociate.
Yeah, but then you're also not present, so
It doesn't matter. I still get it done.
it doesn't
I
matter
never
though,
drop.
because the point
No, the point is to build my.
Dissociate.
The point is to build my abs.
dissociate. And yeah, that's fine, but you don't want to be doing that as a daily practice because you're literally removing yourself from the experience.
Exactly. That's what we want to do. I think it's so funny. Well, this is kind of a dick. I'm gonna come off as a dick, and I understand this. But I think I find it interesting. I don't find it funny. But like when people complete like a half marathon or a marathon, like a marathon so. But I'm like, dude, we literally didn't train at all for any of our 50s. I trained for 4 months for my fucking 100 miler. And like people are like so like, woohoo, we did a half marathon or some shit like that. I'm like, bro, you could do, and I'm like, part of it's egotistical, like, bro, I did 50 without any training, and you trained for fucking weeks for this fucking half marathon. It's like 13 fucking miles. Like, give me a fucking break. But I also, the other side of that same thing for me is like, dude, you can do so much fucking more. Like, stop. Like, stop being, like, it's fucking pathetic. It's embarrassing in my personal opinion because, like, you're selling yourself short. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, it's a fucking 13-mile run. You can do more. Like, and don't get me wrong. Maybe these people are fucking, you know, maybe they're sprinting the 13 miles. And then that makes it fucking hard. Like, if you're going to sprint 13 miles, like, holy shit, that's fucking insane and that's impressive. But, you know what I mean? Anyways.
I know what you're getting at, but I also think like meeting people where they're at and doing that is better than not doing anything. But I understand what you're saying, especially because people come to us and are like, I could never. And it's like, actually, you
yes,
could.
Yes, you can. Yes, you fucking can.
You could.
Yeah. You literally just, you know, sometimes you disassociate and then you fucking do stuff.
Oh, there's definitely, moments in those 50s where you're like, oh, cool, I just like wasn't paying attention for 2 minutes. Oh, cool, I have like hours ahead to go. So that was nice that I checked out for a minute there.
Another thing I learned in my 20s, which I think most people fucking still don't know, is communicate your needs and your wants. Like, I feel like communication is the biggest thing in any relationship. 100% through and through, whether it's your fucking parent, your fucking kid, your wife, your brother, it doesn't matter, your boss, your coworker, I don't give a fuck what it is. They need to know where you're at, and you have to be able to communicate with them. Because I'm not the greatest communicator in the sense of like, you know, I'm not compassionate. Like, people watch this and he's a fucking dick, and I don't like the way he says it. And I also don't give a fuck. Like, that's their problem. That's not my problem. They can either, because what I'm speaking is truth, and whether they can handle it or not, that's on them.
They can swallow your heart pill or F off.
Yeah. But at the same point, you know, like if I'm trying to actually change somebody's life, like if I'm coming to you and say, hey, listen, this is a serious matter, like we need to fucking address this. Or if I'm coming to my boss and saying, hey, this is something we need to talk about, you know, like there's a time and a place, right? So just learning how to communicate and being willing to communicate pretty much always. Humble, open, and transparent, essentially. And then the last one I have is I have traumas and triggers to overcome.
You have traumas?
Yeah, tremors.
Traumas,
Traumas, and triggers. Every time you trigger me, I start to tremor. And I leave you with some trauma.
That's not funny.
It was funny up until then. So, I'd never, thought about traumas and triggers, obviously, before my 20s. I'm pretty confident. I didn't know what I didn't know, essentially. I didn't even know about traumas. I didn't know about triggers. I didn't know about...
It was just your experience.
Yeah, I was just experiencing. I was living inside those traumas. I was living inside those triggers. They were just happenings. Whereas now, I can step back and consciously evaluate and recognize, oh, okay, I'm fucked up and I need to, adjust this one way or another, or whatever the case might be. So, yeah, I think that was probably the one of the biggest things that I learned. I mean, there's so many important big things in there. I mean, fuck. And think about the compounding. I mean, just in the next 10 years or even 20 years that I can fucking build upon that. How exciting! I'm going to be fucking unstoppable.
For real. That is crazy.
I feel like I'm more advanced than a lot of these other people that have more money in certain aspects. I'm more advanced. So looking at them at their age, and dude, I'm gonna fucking bulldoze this shit. I'm gonna be filthy fucking rich.
That is crazy. Because we have less than 10 years of really intentionally learning and growing and evolving.
And some days I feel I think about how people look inside and they're probably oh, there's Montana posting about that dumb shit again. And then I'm just man, they're probably thinking that, and I'm thinking man, why haven't I grown faster in the past year? What the fuck is wrong with me? I feel my reading is falling off the fucking thing, periodically, and I'm not gonna hit my book goal this year and blah blah blah, but I'm dude, I am fucking dominating. I will be dominating even more when I'm fucking 40. Oh my god, I'm so excited to dominate.
Okay, we got less than 3 minutes. So these were some lessons we learned in our 20s. I think if
there's some.
Right.
These are the ones that stuck out to us.
Right. We
Fuck.
did plan a little bit beforehand. Obviously, we prepared some, but if we really gave ourselves lots of internal looking, we would find so many more. So yeah, this is just a handful of ones that stuck out to us that we wanted to share. And Montana's already started ushering in his 4th decade. And mine will be starting on Tuesday. So, we would love to hear from you. So, like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe on YouTube. Give us... I don't know. I was going to say a reach out. I don't know what that means. But, yeah, we are here for the engagement. And we'd love to hear from you guys and hear what you have to think. And
I don't really care what they think.
But you wouldn't like to hear what they think?
No, probably not.
You tell them to. In past episodes. Let us know what you think or if you think differently. And now you're I don't care.
I've changed.
So confusing.
I've changed from that episode to this episode.
You are allowed to evolve your brain.
What is this?
I don't know.
Are you
Because your hand flip over. Because your hand was like that. So like that. Okay. Thank you for being here and listening to our podcast episode.
All right.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye.